Nationally awarded leadership and communication coach, and I am here live every single Tuesday, usually at 11 a.m. Sydney time or Australian Eastern Daylight Time, to talk with you about all things leadership. What are we talking about today? Look, one of the things that's been going on a lot and been resonating with me through articles that I've been reading, but also through the conversations that I'm having with my coaching clients, is this whole piece about fostering really meaningful relationships in the workplace. And what that kind of falls into is authenticity. How can we be authentic in the workplace? How can we bring our whole self to the workplace? There's been a really big push for this. Now, it doesn't actually matter whether you're an aspiring leader or someone who already has a leadership role. There are some things here that you probably need to be a little bit more of, but there are certainly some things that you need to be a little bit less of and that you can actually manage. And so those are the things, I'm just getting comfortable on my chair. Those are the things that I want to be able to talk about today. What underlies the conversation that I want to have with you is this: authentic doesn't actually mean that you can behave however you want, whenever you like, and then come back to this defense of, oh, but I was behaving authentically. What did you expect? So let's just kind of put that out there so that it lays over all that we're doing. The first thing that I want you to think about is this: what you need to do is hone your emotional intelligence, or your emotional, your EQ rather than your IQ. So hone that emotional intelligence. You need to learn to read the room. You need to be prepared to listen deeply to what's going on with the people in your team and anyone that you're communicating with, whether you're communicating up, whether you're communicating out, or whether you're communicating down in your structure. So make sure that you're reading that room, make sure that you're listening deeply. And a really important fact or factor in reading the room is actually watching for those nonverbals. What's going on with people? How are they showing up? Are they connecting with what you're talking about, or are they disconnecting? That's another way of saying, are they engaged or are they disengaged? And the important thing for you to take from that is, maybe I need to be careful here that I don't overshare. Yeah, that I don't overshare. That's the first one. The second one is this: only share what it's okay or what you're okay with people talking about. Because when you share something, it's likely that it's going to become common knowledge. So when it comes to being authentic, it's important that you don't share too much of your personal life. Because if you share too much, that becomes gossip. And that may actually undermine you in your role or in your aspirations for your role, rather than lifting you up and building that respect, and that relationship that you're looking for. The next thing is, we do this all the time. Remember not to overuse your strengths. Some of us are naturally good at things. We've got some awesome strengths. And those strengths, and this is worth you remembering, those strengths actually travel with you. They're there all the time. So it's important for you to learn how to use them, and just as important, to learn when to use them. Because if you overuse them in the wrong circumstance, that's likely to sabotage you. might be inappropriate for you. If everyone else is talking about the planning stage and you've moved way past that and you're talking about something else because one of your skills is that you can see the big picture really well. If you're not bringing everyone else along with you, then that has the potential to totally sabotage you. Yeah. So take that cue from others. Again, as I said earlier, notice what you're noticing. Read that room and particularly check for that nonverbals. If everyone else is silent, then there's potentially a message there that they're wanting to share with you. The fourth thing is, and this is important in our whole life, I think, but in the work environment, particularly when you're wanting to build that trust and that respect that comes with leadership and that comes with, just being part of a team, actually. It's all about maintaining healthy boundaries. Now, what do I mean by that? This takes me into an area that's a whole other conversation. I don't particularly believe in work-life balance. I think that there's a harmony between what happens in your life and what happens in your work. And one of the things that I work with my clients on is all about how we get that harmony, because every single week is different. So perhaps that'll be a topic for a future leadershipisation. But we want to get that work life harmony. And what we need to understand is that the amount of time that we spend at work doesn't always mean that we are producing quality work. Doesn't always mean we're producing quality work. It might mean that it's the company culture to stay there for long periods of time. There's some recognition from getting there first. There's great recognition from being there last. It's about making sure that the time you are at work, you're doing as much deep, valuable work and connecting with people and doing that important work as you possibly can. So that's something for you to think about in terms of maintaining those healthy boundaries. This also extends out to unresolved personal issues, you coming and sharing way too much, too much information. It also relates to your opinions and your attitudes, remembering that your opinions might be different from other people's and that they could actually be polarizing. So it's that reading the room and understanding I'm taking my cue from others. If I tell them how I fully feel about something, maybe I'm being too authentic. Maybe I'm being polarizing and it's going to work against me. That's a whole heap different to what you might think about the number of whales or saving the whales, for example, because people can have very diverse opinions about that, or what it is that you're thinking about something that's happening in current affairs. That's quite different from talking about your hobbies and your interests. So don't just jump in, boots and all, sharing with people that this is my opinion about something, because it may actually work against you. Tread carefully in those circumstances. The fifth one for me to share with you, the fifth, I got that wrong, for me to share with you is this: balance being nice and kind and authentically nice and authentically kind as a leader with challenging your team and holding them accountable. Now, this is a really weird dance for many people between being liked and being respected. And it's particularly difficult for those people who may have come up from, or they may have been an internal promotion. And so, what's been important for them is to, hey, now I'm managing or leading all of those people that I used to, that they were my peers. Liked versus respected. You still have to hold people accountable. You still have to challenge your team in order to get the best out of them. It doesn't mean that you have to be a hard ass person. It does mean that you need to be kind about the approach that you take. The sixth one that I want to, having trouble with numbers today. The sixth one that I want to discuss with you or share with you is this one. Authenticity is not always about full transparency. When what you're doing is establishing newer relationships, they're often lower on trust than those relationships that you may have had for some time. And what we need to be aware of is that if if what you're doing is building this newer relationship that has low trust, too much transparency too soon, too much authenticity, too much, hey, let's pull back the curtains and give you a full frontal. Too much of that too soon can really hinder that relationship. So just be, as I said, the first thing, read the room, take your cue from other people, and make sure that you're moving slowly. Don't expect everybody else to be exactly where you are in terms of your sharing of authenticity. The reason that this is important is the seventh thing that I've listed here, which is that authenticity can be really dangerous for you, dangerous for your career aspirations, dangerous for how people perceive you when whoever you're communicating with isn't ready for it. Now, what do I mean by that? And perhaps, dangerous might be an overuse of that word, but it can work against you, might be a better thing for me to say. I'll give you an example. Um, when what you do is you share your concerns about how you're handling the role, when you share your insecurities with people, they may lose confidence in you as a leader. Now, that might be when you share that with your team. If you say, "Oh, I'm not quite sure, I don't know what's going on here," um, your team might lose confidence because they think, even though you feel as though you're being vulnerable, which is part of being authentic, they may actually feel as though you're showing up too authentically and as though you don't know what you're doing. So remember there that culture is important and you want to feel safe, but you want to make sure that your team feels safe as well. Next one. Got about three more to go, I think. Maintain your professionalism. And this means no oversharing. They don't need to know what your financial situation is. They don't need to know what all your personal issues are. It's valuable to be authentic, but watch out for blurring those lines between being professionally authentic and being way over that, because that's not okay. Pushes people away. And so you need to make sure that you've got that balance sorted out. Next one. Listen, listen, and share. Give people the opportunity to share. Sometimes what can happen is that we're so busy being authentic that we go for it. Authentic, 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 authentic. And, be reciprocal. Make sure that whoever else you're speaking with has the opportunity to share some of what they want to share. Now, sharing or oversharing isn't the way to build relationships. It's not all about you. So don't think, oh, if I tell them this, if I tell them this, if I tell them this, that will be really awesome. Recognize that you need to be curious Curious about them. That's how you'll build the relationship. Be curious and ask open-ended questions. Questions that you'll get more than a 1 or 3 word answer to. Ask them for their opinion. Ask them for what purpose they've made that decision. Ask them how they think that might be achievable. Open-ended questions, and that way you can be true to yourself as a authentically curious person, but you're also learning from other people. Final one: listen, listen, listen. Listen to the team. Listen to your team, whatever level of the organization you're at. Listen to your team. Listen to their challenges. Listen to the solutions that they have. One of the chief reasons, I think it's in the top 5 reasons that people give for being disengaged at work, is that they don't feel heard. So listen to them, because when you listen to them, you're going to be able to support them by giving them activities to do that are going to challenge them. And that's also in the top 5 reasons that people feel disengaged at work. They simply don't feel challenged. It's awesome for you to listen to your team so that not only are they heard, as I said, but you can also extend that to them being challenged. And then what you're doing is allowing them to be their best. And that helps them to be authentic. It also means when you're being curious and you're asking those open ended questions, you're getting to know your team individually. And that allows them to see the kindness, that allows them to see you checking in with them to see exactly how they are, to show them exactly how much you value them in that team environment. Okay, so what we've looked at today is some positives and some things for you to consider about the benefits and some potential challenges about you, or some things for you to be aware of, definitely, about you being more authentic in your workplace as a leader and as an aspiring leader. I hope that's been really useful for you. I love your comments at the bottom. If you can make some comments when you're watching this, that would be awesome. It just enables me to make sure that what I'm doing is delivering the kind of things that you want. Hey, great news. Next week, I have my first guest coming on. Leadershipisation, all things leaders, for leaders, or by leaders, with leaders, for leaders. So what we've got is a guest. Watch this space. I'll put out some pre-information about him. He's had a great background and led really large teams. So I love his insight into leadership. So see you here live 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, which is Sydney, 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, which is Brisbane. So it would be 1 p.m. in New Zealand, and it would be 8 a.m. in Singapore. Look forward to seeing you then. Thank you so much. Oh, hey, if you've watched this replay, pop #replay. Thank you. Bye now.